I used to think success was something people could see. The clothes you wore, the car you drove, the restaurants you posted from, the lifestyle you projected. So when I got promoted at 27, my first real six-figure salary, I didn't just feel like I'd made it. I felt like I needed to prove it. I was working as a product manager at a mid-sized tech firm, $108,000 a year. Not bad for someone who used to count coins to buy gas. I still remember the day that first real paycheck hit. It felt unreal. I could breathe, but instead of saving or paying off my student loans, I made a different decision, one that would haunt me for years. I bought a car, not just any car, a BMW 5 Series. Used, yes, but still $39,000. I had $7,000 in my checking account, so I put down $5,000 and financed the rest. Dude, treat yourself, my coworker said. You earned it, my cousin said. You need to look the part, said everyone I followed on Instagram. And I believed them. Next came the apartment. I was living in a modest place, $1,250 per month. Nothing fancy, but fine. Still had roommates. After the promotion, I signed a lease for a downtown high-rise, $2,400 per month for a one-bedroom with floor-to-ceiling windows and a rooftop pool. I bought a couch on credit, a 65-inch TV, new suits, new shoes, noise-canceling headphones, a smart mirror that told me the weather when I brushed my teeth. I justified everything. It's part of the image. I can afford the monthly payments. I'll write some of it off. In 3 months, I went from zero debt to over $45,000 owed, and I was still spending. The pressure to be this person I created, the put-together guy, was overwhelming. My coworkers started calling me executive, and I laughed along, pretending it was a compliment. But deep down, I was anxious all the time. Then came the final blow. I got invited to a tech networking event in San Francisco. Big names, expensive tickets, panels with investors. I couldn't say no. This was part of leveling up. The event cost $1,800. Flight and hotel added another $1,200. I put on a credit card I had just opened. That brought the total to over $70,000 in debt. I told myself, this is temporary. This is what it takes to succeed. Then, just 2 months later, our company downsized. I was laid off. No severance, no warning, just a meeting on Zoom with HR. And then silence. The next day, I sat in my luxury apartment, surrounded by things I had bought to look successful, and realized I had nothing left to show for it. No savings, no income, no backup plan, just debt and shame. The first thing I did after the layoff was panic. I told myself I'd get another job in a month, maybe 2. I updated my resume, reached out to recruiters, posted on LinkedIn like I was exploring new opportunities, code for I have no income and rent due in 3 weeks. But under the surface, I was crumbling. The credit card minimums hit hard. The BMW payment was $674 a month. Rent was $2,400. Utilities, car insurance, streaming subscriptions, coffee, groceries, it all added up fast. Within 30 days, I had burned through the last $2,000 in my checking account. Still, I kept up the performance. I didn't want anyone to know how bad it was. Not my parents, not my friends, definitely not social media. I kept posting selfies in the gym, reposting old photos from that San Francisco trip, motivational quotes about hustle, as if pretending to be okay would make the debt disappear. At night, I stared at my phone, refreshing the credit card app, praying that it wouldn't decline the next morning when I bought gas. My inbox became a battlefield. Final notice. Payment overdue. Your account is past due. And still, I couldn't admit it. I told myself I was in transition, that the right offer was coming, that I couldn't downgrade. I'd lose momentum, lose my image, lose face. So I held on. Way too long. Then came the call from the bank. My checking account was overdrawn. My BMW loan, was 2 weeks past due. If I didn't make a payment in 5 days, they'd start the repossession process. That word hit different. Repossession. As in, they'd take the car. The car I bought to look like I belonged. The car that was now a $35,000 burden on wheels. I realized I was trapped in a life I built out of insecurity, and I was financing the lie with interest. I finally cracked one night around 2:30 a.m. I was sitting in the dark, laptop open, reading Reddit threads about strategic bankruptcy and how to hide from creditors. That's how low it got. Not how to grow a business. Not how to make passive income. Just how to survive financial collapse without losing your mind. That night, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I called my dad. I expected judgment, disappointment, maybe even a lecture. Instead, he just said, "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." And I did. I told him about the car, the apartment, the loans, the events, the fake image, the pressure to be someone I wasn't ready to be. When I finished, he paused. Then he said, "Son, you've been living like you already won, but you forgot to earn it first." That sentence flipped something in me. Because he was right. I wasn't living a successful life. I was playing a character I created in my head. And now, I was paying the price for the costume. The next morning, I listed the BMW for sale. It felt like ripping off a piece of my identity. That car had become my symbol of I made it. But I finally understood. It was just a very expensive lie on wheels. It took 2 weeks to sell. A guy in finance bought it in cash. I smiled, shook his hand, and watched him drive away in the car I couldn't afford to keep. After paying off the loan, I had just under $6,200 left. Then came the apartment. I broke the lease, lost my deposit, packed everything I owned into a rented van, and moved into the guest room of my cousin's place, 2 hours outside the city. From skyline views to a fold-out mattress. From valet parking to street noise and barking dogs. But for the first time in months, I could breathe. With no car, no rent, and no more pretending, I got honest with myself and with others. I posted a brutally honest message on LinkedIn. 6 months ago, I thought I was winning, but I was just spending. Today, I'm rebuilding from scratch, not with image, but with intention. That post got more responses than anything I'd ever written. Messages from strangers, recruiters, people who said, "Thank you for being real. I needed to hear this." It stunned me. Turns out, I wasn't alone. Dozens of people messaged me saying they were living paycheck to paycheck just to maintain an image, that they were afraid to downsize, to admit they were struggling, that they were exhausted trying to look like winners while secretly drowning. That post changed everything. One recruiter, a woman named Danielle, DM'd me and said, "You're the kind of voice companies need in their marketing team. Ever thought of doing content full-time?" I hadn't, but I was listening now. We set up a call. She introduced me to a small startup that needed someone to write their brand story, blog content, and customer onboarding materials. Remote, flexible, for $1,000 per month contract. I said yes. That one contract didn't fix everything, but it stopped the bleeding. For the first time in months, I wasn't watching my accounts with dread. I wasn't lying to myself. I wasn't playing a role. I was just working, quietly, honestly, and that's when something clicked. The more I told the truth, the more people responded. I wrote an article called "The Cost of Looking Successful." It went viral on Medium. I turned that into a short ebook and sold it for $5. Made $800 in a week. It wasn't a lot, but it was mine, built with truth, not illusion. I started consulting other creators and freelancers, people who, like me, had confused lifestyle with value. I told them what no one told me. You don't have to look rich to become wealthy. You don't need to impress anyone to be worth something. Start with being real, then build from there. It's been over a year since I sold the BMW and left my downtown apartment behind. I'm still not rich. I don't have a Lambo, a penthouse, or a watch collection. but I have something I never did before: peace, and a bank account that isn't red. My freelance content business now makes more than I ever earned in my full-time job. I work fewer hours from anywhere I want, and most importantly, I no longer spend money to prove anything. I still remember the day I paid off the last credit card, $312.14. It wasn't a big number, but it felt like the end of a war. I've learned something that no influencer or money guru ever told me. The fastest way to go broke is trying to look like you're not. You can't build real wealth on fake confidence, and you can't buy self-worth with credit. I started a blog, then a newsletter, then a podcast, all around one theme: financial honesty. No filters, no luxury shots, just truth. I share my numbers, my past mistakes, my current progress, and people respond because we're all tired of pretending. What I thought would ruin my life, being exposed, downsizing, admitting failure, actually saved it. I stopped performing. I started living. One day, I got a message from someone I used to work with, a guy who once called me executive with a smirk. He wrote, "Dude, I just lost my job and I'm $80K in debt. I remember your post. Any chance we could talk?" We talked. He's on his way to rebuilding now, too. That's what this journey has become for me. Not just recovery, but redemption. Not just a story of losing money, but of gaining clarity. I spent $70,000 trying to impress people who didn't care. Now I spend time building value with people who do. If you've ever felt trapped by the lifestyle you created, if you're chasing likes while hiding bills, if you're exhausted from trying to look successful instead of becoming it, I want you to know you're not alone. You're not stupid, and you're definitely not finished. You don't need to start over in silence. You can start loud, honest, and broke, but never fake.